The story of David and Goliath, told in the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 17, is much more than just a confrontation between a young shepherd and a giant. It is a tale of courage, faith, and determination, but also an invitation to reflect on what allows a person, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles, to stand firm and fight. This battle symbolizes our ability to overcome life's challenges, to trust in our faith, and to take risks when necessary. The battle scene: the Israelite army facing the unimaginable. The story begins in the Valley of Elah, located southwest of Jerusalem, where the armies of Israel are preparing to face the Philistines. A giant named Goliath emerges, defiantly challenging Israel with brutal arrogance. Every day for 40 days, he mocks the Israelites, threatening them with humiliating defeat. Imagine yourself in the shoes of those soldiers, hearing the words of this giant towering 9 to 11 feet tall, wielding incredibly heavy weapons. Goliath was not an adversary to take lightly. "Who will dare to challenge me?" This cry echoed in the hearts of the Israelites. And yet, as fear gripped the soldiers, a young shepherd, David, enters the scene. He was not a seasoned soldier. He lacked the experience of the battles of his time. But what set him apart from others was his unwavering faith and unique perspective on the challenge. David. Courage born from faith. David was not paralyzed by fear. Unlike those who only saw the giant Goliath, he looked beyond appearances. He saw an affront to God's honor, to the reputation of Israel, and this motivated him to act. When he heard Goliath's provocations, he didn't think of his own safety. On the contrary, he questioned, "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that dares to defy the armies of the living God?" David didn't view the problem through human eyes like the other Israelites. For him, it wasn't a battle of physical strength. It was about defending the honor of God, not allowing an enemy to profane what was sacred. This spiritual vision fueled his courage. Where others saw an unshakable giant, David saw only an opportunity to glorify God, to show that victory didn't depend on armies or swords, but on divine will. He was convinced that God, who had already acted in his favor in past moments, would be with him in this battle. The importance of trusting in God. David didn't just speak of faith, he demonstrated it in his actions. When he spoke to Saul, the king of Israel, he explained how, in the past, God had protected him from the claws of a lion and a bear while tending his father's sheep. David knew that the same God who had delivered him in those dangerous moments would save him again. It didn't depend on his strength, but on his faith. When Saul hesitated to allow David to fight, citing his lack of experience and stature, David responded with confidence, "The Lord who delivered me from the lion and the bear will deliver me from this Philistine as well." He wasn't just talking about himself, he was speaking of God's power working through him. Divine preparation and the power of perseverance. But this trust in God didn't come overnight. It was forged through past trials, small victories that prepared David for this crucial moment. David was not a man seeking glory or attention. His courage was rooted in his experience of divine protection. David's life teaches us that often, God prepares us for greater challenges by taking us through smaller trials. By killing the lion and the bear, David learned to face threatening situations. He cultivated perseverance and the ability to deal with the unpredictable. When he encountered Goliath, he wasn't afraid because he knew that every battle he had fought before had prepared him for this one. It was this inner preparation that made him capable of standing before the giant, armed not with heavy weapons, but with faith. David's battle, a spiritual battle. The battle between David and Goliath was not only physical, it was a spiritual confrontation. Goliath, with his arrogance, represented all that defied God and his people. He had insulted Israel and its God repeatedly. David, on the other hand, didn't enter the battle impulsively. He firmly declared, "I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." David knew that this battle was not won with swords and shields, but with the power of God. He confronted Goliath not with the same arrogance, but with deep humility, presenting himself as God's messenger. It wasn't David who would win the victory, but God through him. David's courage, a lesson for us. Today, the story of David and Goliath continues to inspire us. It teaches us that true courage comes from faith, and that even when circumstances seem overwhelming, God is greater than all our enemies. David's courage was not based on his physical strength, but on his absolute trust in God. We may find ourselves facing our own Goliaths, challenges that seem insurmountable, situations where fear, uncertainty, and opposition seem to crush us. But through David's example, we learn that these giants are not here to destroy us, but to push us to lean more on our faith and recognize that it is not by our strength, but by God's power that we triumph. David, with his spiritual courage and unwavering faith, won a victory that would mark the history of Israel. This is not just a story of battle, it is a reminder that sometimes life's greatest challenges reveal who we truly are and to whom we owe our victory.